Hey guys, this is Courtney from Will's Boom, and today we're going to be talking about the Virgo new moon happening on August 27th, and it is at my 2 a.m. Mountain Time, and that will be, I think, 4 a.m. Eastern Time and 12 a.m. Pacific Coast Time. Okay, anywho, so this new moon looks, I was really looking forward to this because I was hoping that this moon would be a lot better than the last one. The last full moon that we had in Aquarius was kind of tough. As I was mentioning to people that it really builds off of the Leo new moon, which did have good energy. And then it kind of became more intense. And it was like, okay, we're really facing things. We're really, like making hard decisions or having really intense feelings or conversations. And so I was hoping that this moon would just feel really light, feel really easy. And I'm fortunately not really seeing that, and I'm going to kind of get into why that is. So as I mentioned, this is a Virgo new moon, which means that both the sun and the moon are hanging out at 4 degrees of Virgo right next to each other. So this new moon is making an exact square to Mars, which is now in the sign of Gemini. So Mars in Gemini is already very stimulated. It is a planet that likes to go, and Gemini also likes to go. And so they tend to be very busy, have a lot of social life, or always be doing little things around the house, or even always be like learning new things, having different conversations. And sometimes it can also brings a life to the party. It brings a life to these dynamics, but sometimes it can also bring like some tenseness because Mars is a divisive planet. It tends to say the wrong thing at the wrong time, kind of put its foot in its mouth. It tends to not be like very courteous, so it can be like maybe somewhat brash or rude and not take people's feelings into consideration when expressing its ideas, especially in like an objective sign like Gemini, where you kind of see the outcome, you see like the information that you want to get across, and you're not necessarily thinking about like the watery, intuitive, emotional side and how that can affect people. And so it's like straight air and fire, going straight to the point, cutting through the woods, burning down what's in front of it. And it's very useful and very engaging, and there's a lot of good qualities about it. But since it is making a square to this moon, this new moon, I feel like it's bringing an aspect of, like conflict that generally Mars tends to bring anyway. And these are happening both in Mercury ruled signs. So it's a square happening between the sign of Virgo and the sign of Gemini, again, both ruled by the planet Mercury. So we can see here that the tension and the conflict is likely going to come in around the way that we think about something, communicate about something, and connect. Because Mercury is a planet that connects us together and creates an understanding through our words, through our ideas, and through communication. And so we know that it's very likely that many of us will be having to make a decision at this new moon, and that this decision can affect people around us. And there can be maybe some conversations around something that people might not see eye to eye on. And so I think that's essentially what this is coming down to, is that we are maybe having even like indecision to an extent, and we're having to, we don't have to, but maybe we are taking others into consideration. And I feel like that is where the strife is going to come up around this new moon. If there is a decision that we're making, or if there's a conversation that we're having, or kind of a path forward that we're moving towards, especially one in which feels like we are kind of like integrating things, connecting things, scheduling things, like cleaning up things, organizing things. Those are all very Virgo topics. It may be associated with something like that, or even health, well-being. Also, it might not be about that. It doesn't have to be, but those things tend to be common themes at this time. Regardless, as I mentioned, we are likely having some kind of decision or some kind of conversation around those topics. And I feel like many of us are considering other people around us because that's what we usually do. But with this square to Mars, I feel like there's almost like the astrology is not necessarily set up for us to be considering others. It's actually quite a divisive time right now with Jupiter in Aries as well, which is asking us to grow on an individual and independent level. So where we kind of have to leave behind the comfort zone of our community to do what's best for us, move into uncharted waters, go to that party or that concert alone, take that course without speaking to anyone, making kind of not impulsive, but being decisive in the way that you move through life. And so that is not easy to do when there's all these other people and things and factors to consider. And so I think that this new moon is, again, not really conducive for the kind of social energy that Gemini tends to want to create. It wants to create connection, but Mars creates division. So Mars in Gemini is like, they're sort of at odds a little bit, just because of, what is happening in the entire chart. Like, they are really not operating in a smooth way at this new moon. I feel like it's like adding fuel to the fire a little bit instead of creating the understanding that the Gemini usually wants to find. And another part of this equation is Venus opposite Saturn. This is classic for feeling alone, for creating relationship issues, for feeling misunderstood. There's kind of a lot of energy that comes in around this, around separation and divisiveness as well. And so we're seeing these themes repeat over and over again of people not seeing eye to eye. I feel like people wanting different things, people moving in different directions, people having two different agendas. And that's kind of what I'm getting at this new moon, is like people have a lot of stuff that they are trying to do, that they are trying to be productive on, or to move forward in their life and take care of themselves in the way that they really desire, Virgo topics. But it's almost like, because other people, they want to please other people, or because other people want other things, it's causing us like a cross in the road, a little bit of conflict where you have to decide, well, is it going to be my well-being or is it going to be their well-being? Is it going to be for me or for them? And I just heard a quote recently: if it's good for you, it's good for them. And if it's good for them, it's good for you. That's really not the quote, but it's something along those lines, where it's like, if it's truly in your best interest, it's in the best interest of everyone, and vice versa. And so I feel like that's a huge nugget essentially to take away from this new moon, is what is in my best interest. Not being selfish, even though that is a very useful word for this kind of energy, because I feel like selfish, it has such a negative energy to it, and I feel like it can imply sort of bulldozing other people and their needs, and that's not necessarily what I'm saying, because Virgo tends to be quite subdued, and it just wants us to be productive. It doesn't want us to bulldoze people in order to be productive, but it does want us to do what we have to do with this square with Mars in order to achieve what we want. And so I feel like it's not necessarily reaching a compromise. It's not necessarily bulldozing, but it's somewhere in between all these things, where we are putting ourselves first and trying our best to communicate that and not feel guilty for doing that, while also considering the other person, how they feel, and thinking how we can kind of make this the most optimal circumstance for everyone without compromising on our needs. And so I think it's really just about kind of not just bending to other people's will, but really allowing both people to be seen, to be heard, to have space. And it's okay if there's a disagreement and a friction, but how can both people leave that conversation still feeling good, even with that friction? And that might be hard with this new moon, especially with Venus opposite Saturn. There tends to be, you have to work a lot harder to feel good, to feel that sense of companionship and belonging and camaraderie, which is honestly really unfortunate given the rest of this new moon. So, okay, what else do I want to talk about? So I think that the key here is not to let others dominate you, not to let people kind of tell you how to think or what to do or push you into a certain direction. It's really about being strong within oneself, and not resolute in the sense that you are not flexible at all. But if you know something is in your is a need of yours in your best interest, how can you pursue that? And also with the Queen of Swords reversed, without being bitchy, without being cold-hearted or lacking compassion. Like, we do want to understand where the other person is coming from, and it's very easy to lack compassion given this new moon and the energy that's involved here. The square to Mars and Venus opposite Saturn just creates a lot of cold-heartedness, and like, it's my way or the highway. Definitely not the best time to like come to agreements or sign contracts or resolve misunderstandings. It's quite a bit of tense energy that I don't really recommend, because I feel like it's going to be hard for us to be compassionate and be our best selves. And so you don't really want to go into an agreement with that kind of energy involved. Thankfully, though, Mars is making a sextile to Jupiter. So there is some positive energy here where we're able to embody a little bit more of this like enlightened selfishness. So it's like, I'm going to choose myself. I'm going to love myself. I'm going to put myself first. I have the Two of Cups reversed. This is self-love. And because of that, I'm going to reach success, the Wheel of Fortune and the Six of Wands. There's something out there that we're trying to create that Virgo energy wants us to dedicate ourselves to, be productive with, kind of show up in a very consistent, routine way. But there may be other people tugging at our time, kind of influencing our decisions, inviting us to things. Venus in Leo, opposite Saturn in Aquarius. Like, do I want to be present at that party? Do I want to go to this social event? Where am I using discernment over my energetic and time resources? And how are other people and my guilt towards other people playing a huge role in how I make decisions about my day and how I'm, get things done? And so I think that, again, Mars sextiling Jupiter is going to give us some more of enlightened selfishness, where we realize what our top priorities are and how to put them first. And we're also doing it from I feel like, more evolved perspective, because Jupiter is the perspective of the higher mind, the part of us that connects literally to our higher self or our like spiritual self. And so it's not just in this body, in this mundane world, caught up in insecurities and this and that. It can see the elevated perspective of, lifetimes and lifetimes of our inner wisdom, of our soul's desires and needs. And so it's asking us to make that decision for us, given that broad perspective, and not just kind of like, this is what I want to do, so I'm doing it, kind of, stubbornness that can come through with Mars sometimes. And so I think that we're given support by the universe to put ourselves first. But again, this can sometimes cause conflict. Mercury is in Libra right now, which hopefully will help us to an extent in terms of diplomacy and creating a little bit more understanding between others in our conversations. It is opposite Jupiter, so they're tending to have, even though it's kind of loose, it's having a different desire than Jupiter. Mercury wants us to understand, cooperate, come together, come to a consensus, a conclusion. And Jupiter is like, I already told you, this is what I need and this is what I'm doing. And so we're going to kind of have to make some sort of marriage between these two energies right now in our life. And the good news is that Mars in Gemini also has this kind of objective way of thinking. And so that is trining Mercury in Libra, and it's going to inform Mercury. So Mercury desires for a mutual understanding. Mars in Gemini is looking at all the data, all the facts about what it needs to do for itself. And it's going to communicate that in an objective, hopefully less emotional way. However, because this is squaring the new moon, it might be a little bit more emotional, a little bit more cold-hearted. And that is the warning here, is how are you communicating? How are you, like, in terms of your heart chakra? Do you have it open? Do you have it vulnerable? Are you aware and compassionate towards others, or are you shutting that down? That's going to be an important part. So this can be a time in which you might feel a little bit more stress, and especially in making decisions with Mercury and Libra. It can be hard to really know, like, this is what I want. I can see there's a conflict. You might know that's what you want, but then when other people's opinions kind of come in, it's hard to really decide when you're thinking about the well-being of everyone around you. So as I mentioned already, we have Venus and Leo opposite Saturn. They're almost exact 19 and 20 degrees. So this is somewhat unfortunate. And Venus on top of that is making almost an exact square to Uranus and the North Node. So in the sign of Taurus. So there's definitely a lot of overstimulation here for Venus. I kind of feel bad for Venus. This is a planet that just wants to go out and have fun, and it's Leo season. There's a desire to just be like, I'm gonna go create this, I'm gonna go work on this, I'm so excited about this, I'm gonna go connect with these people. And it's like, okay, no, you're not, because you have to deal with this drama first. You know, you have to deal with this conflict that you're having with others. You want something else than this other person does, so you can't just go out and do the things that you want to do because XYZ. And I pulled the Four of Wands, which is representative of a lack of harmony, which Venus's harmony in opposite Saturn is exactly that. It's a lack of harmony. It's having to work to create the harmony, having some restrictions imposed upon us from others, from the environment, and then just feeling like we're kind of caged in, we're dissatisfied, or even feeling like we're alone and unsupported in some way, which is really common in a natal transit with these planets. I also pulled the Six of Pentacles in reverse. What does this mean? It means cut off from our flow of energy. So Venus opposite Saturn is a perfect representation of this. When we give something with Venus, when Venus is strong and healthy, when we give something to someone, we feel like we get it back. We kind of have our cups filled up. We have this really beautiful mutual relationship and a companionship. With Saturn opposite Venus, that's kind of cut off. So where we're giving a lot and we're not necessarily getting the same back. And I feel like that's what this is trying to represent, that if we do not put ourselves first right now, if we choose others, if we try to make our plans or schedule our day or make a decision based off of another person and what they need, we're ultimately going to feel like we are not given back the things that we need from that person. We can become resentful. We're not getting what we need from a situation because we're not choosing our needs. We're not choosing ourselves. We're overextending ourselves for others. And so that's really what this is about an imbalance here, where you're giving and not receiving and overextending yourself, either with time, with energy, with money, whatever that is. And so with this square to Uranus, what this is doing is saying we have to stop this pattern. We have to break this cycle, and we're going to throw in some maybe kind of chaotic energy and feeling like I need to burst out of this. I need to break free from this in order to actually kind of pursue my desires and get my needs met and do the things I've always wanted to do. So this square with Uranus is acting as the liberator, essentially, saying that we cannot live in this state of giving and not receiving. This is unsustainable. It feels like the 10 of Wands in tarot, this unsustainable burden on our back that we literally just cannot keep going, because we will become a shell of a human, and it will ruin our relationships, and it will ruin our potential towards our goals, and it will not meet our needs. So what does Venus square Uranus say? It brings up the Temperance card. We need to create a balance. How can we meet our needs first, but also really take others into consideration? How can we balance both of these things? How can we balance ourselves and others? What we need to do to be productive, happy, get our needs met, and what others need to do. And it's really about going back to that first statement that I made, that what's best for me is best for them. What's best for them is best for me. So even if you initially feel disappointed that somebody in your life cannot live up to what they've always been doing for you or how they've always showed up for you, this is actually in your best interest ultimately, because even though your life and your situation might change because of your relationship with that person will adjust, ultimately they will become happier and healthier. And as a result, your relationship will improve, and you will learn how to do certain things on your own that maybe you didn't have to do before, and vice versa. So I feel like there's a lot to be gained from this new moon. Even though it looks a little bit tense, I'm also ultimately excited because I see like a lot of change coming from this. I see a lot of progression. And a lot of the people pleasing being kicked to the curb. A lot of us putting ourselves aside, being kicked to the curb. And this is ultimately what is woven into the fabric of this Jupiter and Aries year-long cycle and story. I feel like we are here to grow as individuals this year. And so this is one big important new moon that I'm sure is among many other events that we'll experience that is going to show us and point us in the right direction of how to do that. And hopefully not to overcorrect, not to be overly selfish, overly cold-hearted, and rude, but to be like in this nice temperance balance of what's best for me is what's best for you, and vice versa. So now I'm going to get into this for all of the rising signs, so definitely stay tuned. But if you want an astrology reading from me for a forecast for your entire year, or if you want me to look at your chart, definitely check that out using the link below or willowsboom.com. Thanks, guys. Hey guys. Okay, up first we have my beautiful Aries rising. So definitely, though, if you have not seen the overview, you guys want to watch that. My face looks so greasy, even though I guess I just put face oil on, but you know, it's real dry out here in Colorado, so you got to stay hydrated. Okay, so for you guys, Aries rising, this new moon in Virgo is happening in your 6th house and squaring Mars in your 3rd house. So first of all, having a new moon in your 6th house can tend to bring on a new birthing of responsibility. That's oftentimes like a new job, because that's like a very stereotypical thing, but that's not always the case. Sometimes it can also be a new kind of reset in terms of health as well. So maybe a new journey that you're trying to begin along with your mental or physical health, or even just like the way that you tackle your events and your schedule and your productivity levels. How are you kind of managing your time and your energy? All those things can be represented as having like a new beginning, a new start, a new idea, a new path along those topics. However, it is making a square to Mars in the 3rd. So again, please watch the overview. But what I was kind of getting at here is that many of us are having to become more productive or kind of go along a certain path towards a goal. And we have a little bit of outside influence that's kind of taking away our energy or influencing our decision-making process. And with this moon making a square to Mars in the 3rd, it might be something that comes up, for example, when you're in conversation with people. Like if you're having a new moon in the 6th house, it could be maybe that you get a new promotion at work, or you're working on a new project. Something new is starting in the area of responsibility, and maybe even working together with somebody. But with the square of Mars in the 3rd, this is usually a sign of having a disagreement and not necessarily seeing eye to eye with somebody else on the team, or having like, you have all these certain responsibilities, but maybe you have other things that you have existing that you really have to do. Or even maybe you have a certain level of anxiety and just like busyness in general, and you're like, how am I going to get this all done? And so I feel like you guys are needing to become kind of more masterful over your energy, as well as over how you're approaching certain situations with people. With the 3 of Pentacles and the King of Pentacles, maybe this has to do with working together with someone and being the leader, or you may be needing to step up a little bit more as a leader in some type of group context, because I really feel that the 6th and the 3rd houses tend to have very kind of like group mind, group context, working together on something, being involved in something together. And so you guys may have to embody more of this King of Pentacles energy, being a little bit more like, the word that came to me was stern, but that's not really what I mean. Like just a little bit more structured and defined. Like, these are our goals and expectations. This is kind of how I want to go about this situation, communicating very clearly. And it all being with the King of Pentacles set down in like a really practical way. Like, I'm going to assign this amount of work to you, give you this much time, and that sort of thing. And so the square with Mars in the 3rd, it can indicate that you're having to maybe make adjustments to like the ways that you communicate these needs, having different meetings or something like this, or maybe I'm talking specifically about like work and a work situation, but there's so many situations where this could arise. Maybe you are taking care of somebody, and you're really the sole caretaker, the sole person responsible. It's like, how can I maybe outsource some things and get a little bit more help, because this is starting to become overwhelming, starting to become stressful, that type of thing. And Mars, which is your ruling planet, is making a sextile to Jupiter in your 1st house. So ultimately, I feel like while this moon might be difficult for some people, I'm really not getting the sense that for you it's that difficult. And that's probably because your chart ruler is making a beautiful sextile to Jupiter, which is the planet of abundance, of opportunities, of optimism. And so I feel like you guys right now are feeling like you're really growing. And maybe that's why you have so much on your plate, so many responsibilities, because you are kind of up-leveling and growing in many ways. And so Mars in the 3rd house making a sextile to Jupiter in your 1st is saying, let's figure out how to manage all of these priorities in the best possible way so that I can essentially become like my most confident version of myself, the strongest leader that I can be, and continue to grow and evolve as a person. And I think that you guys are already really good at knowing how to put yourself first, which is like the main task of this new moon. And so I feel like you guys kind of already are going to have that on lockdown, at least to an extent, or maybe that's something that you are currently working on, where you're like, there's that dynamic of how much do I give? How much do I take? And that's showing that you're going to make progress in growth or in learning about that topic in particular. I just pulled a strength card. And so this does give me the feeling that you guys are just having like a lot come at you that you are needing to keep strong for. I feel like you're maybe shouldering a lot of the burden, or maybe your mental health could be like a little bit more anxious than usual because of how much is kind of swirling around in your brain. But again, with your chart ruler making a sextile to Jupiter, I really feel like you're going to be optimistic. Like you feel like you have a lot to look forward to. So it doesn't feel like the anxiety of things all collapsing around you. So what this card says is you have a vast reservoir of inner strength within you. Cast aside your doubts and feelings of insecurity and trust that you have what it takes to be victorious in the situation. You may be feeling overwhelmed by the enormity of what is being asked of you, but you will surprise yourself if you just trust and proceed confidently. And that's the feeling that I'm getting, is like you guys might be overwhelmed. Like there's a lot on my plate. There's a lot I have to do. Can I handle all this? Am I good enough for this? Can I step up in this leader position with this King of Pentacles? Can I lead others in this way? Can I be the teacher or the provider or whatever it is, the organizer? And I feel like it can be like a little bit overwhelming, but ultimately I feel like with that sextile Jupiter, you're like, I got this, I can do this. Now I have to learn how to really kind of master my energy to be able to succeed in this properly. You guys also have Mercury making a trine to your planet, to Mars. So Mercury is in the 7th house, trining Mars in your 3rd house, as I mentioned. So this can also kind of show that there's maybe this need to have certain conversations and really pull people in to help you. The 3 of Pentacles to me is indicating that you guys are really creating some kind of network or community and people that are going to work with you on something, whether that is clients or whether it's actually like having coworkers or someone, your kids or someone like work on something with you. I feel like you're leading someone in some respect and having important conversations about how to do that. You guys also have Venus in the 5th house opposite Saturn in the 11th house. And it's making a square to Uranus in the 2nd. So I feel like you guys in many ways are trying right now to learn how to kind of express yourself in a more creative fashion with Venus in the 5th. That's really what's coming alive. Like, what are my interests right now? What are my hobbies? How do I like connect with these different parts of myself? The 5th house is very much about oneself. But then the Saturn in the 11th is how do I then integrate this back into my community? How do I make time for friends? And just kind of like, how do I manage myself and my own interests versus being out there in the world and doing things for others and connecting with my friends? Because the 5th house, you can connect with friends, but it tends to be on your terms or in ways that you really want. And it kind of fits well into how you're doing things in your life already. So like, for example, if you really want to start singing lessons, it's like you going to singing lessons and like people are there, or maybe it's you like going out for a drink and that's what you want and you're meeting up with your friends. But like Saturn in the 11th, sometimes Saturn in particular being in the 11th house can have like a karmic duty or responsibility to show up for friends. So maybe somebody's inviting you to something of theirs, like their wedding or their birthday celebration, or maybe you have to like support them during their time of need. There's a way that you're showing up that's a little bit more like work. It can feel like a little bit more like work, where Venus in the 5th generally feels like spontaneity and things just kind of perfectly aligning. And so there can be this push and pull between these two elements of yourself of, how can I create what I want to do in my life? And how can I also like help the people around me and like be there for others? And then it's making a square to Uranus in the 2nd. So there's also a desire to have a lot more like security and stability. But with Uranus in the second, it's also like an instability, which is interesting because the second house is really about our financial world, our material possessions, and all those things. So there is a strong desire for maybe financial security and feeling like, you know, you have the money to do all the things that you want to do. You can follow all your passions. You can go out with your friends. But then also you might feel like, oh, I have to pay all this money to like go to this wedding, or, you know, I have to like, I feel obligated to buy my friend a birthday gift. And so there's kind of like restraints around finances there that come from these obligations that you have. And then as well as like the financial restraints that you put on yourself with the things that you want to do. And so with the square to Uranus in the second, I feel like it's trying to find this happy medium or this balance in between how much am I going to invest in myself and the things that I want to do, and like the things that I'm investing time, money, energy wise into others. And yeah, how can I essentially create a nice balance where I'm still achieving financial independence and financial security while also having the freedom to spend on what I want to. So it might be a little bit hard to kind of find that balance, but I think trusting your intuition is going to be really key here, and allowing yourself to like play and dabble and pursue the things that you are interested in is going to be a priority. So if you haven't been doing that, if you've been putting that on the back burner because you're like, I need to make friends, or I need to really prioritize these people in my life, and I need to really do this for this person, or do XYZ for them, like maybe draw back a little bit and ask yourself, what do I want to do? What are my hobbies? What are my interests? And then seeing how you can maybe find more of a balance with those two things in your life. So those are the messages I'm seeing for you, Aries Rising. I hope that resonates. If it does, please let me know by liking, commenting down below. If you want an astrology reading, you can buy one from me at willisbloom.com or using the link in the description box down below. I do natal chart readings and obviously like your full year if you want to know kind of what's to come for you. I do a bunch of different types of readings, also relationship readings for you and your partner, and a lot more. So if you're interested, definitely check that out, and I hope you have a great day. Bye. All right, up next we have my beautiful Taurus rising. For you guys, this new moon in Virgo is happening in your 5th house, squaring Mars in your 2nd house. So what do I feel like is happening here? Well, based off of some of these cards that I'm pulling, I think that you guys are really being given the gift of opportunities right now. New moon in the 5th house is bringing a new beginning, a new potential. The 5th house has a lot to do with our personal expression, kind of like the ideas and the activities that we like to become involved in that feel like they are one with our nature, and a really good reflection of kind of our natural innate talents and gifts. So you guys are having these opportunities emerge, but with the square to Mars in the 2nd, there is a need to kind of commit. Like I need to make a decision and commit about what I'm going to pursue. The 2nd house is kind of where we start to build material wealth, but you cannot build material wealth from everything and anything. There is sort of paring down process. When we want to establish security, we have to kind of define our baskets and then go all in on filling up those baskets. If we put a little bit here, a little bit there, a little bit there, we kind of start to spread ourselves really thin. And so what I feel like is happening here is I think you guys are having new opportunities present themselves that you can decide on if you want to invest in it further or not. And this Mars in the 2nd house may indicate that there is some sort of dilemma around this, because Mars is a planet of conflict, whether that's within oneself or with another person. There can be a little bit of a dilemma of, is this what is the best thing for all the people around me? Is this the best thing for, like myself, or like, is there something else that I can make more money in? It's like you can start to have kind of competing desires. Like I really want to express myself in this way, but I also really want to be rich, or I really want to like do this path and do this thing, but then I have to let somebody else down or say no to someone else that I love. And so you kind of get presented with certain dilemmas where you have to slim down and make choices that can affect others, and then you can have the guilt or the impact of others in that decision-making process. And that is what this new moon is about deciding for oneself. And Mars, thankfully, is making a sextile to Jupiter in the 12th house. So I think that you are very intuitively guided throughout this. You can sense your own energy, your own like physical awakening towards something, psychic awakening towards something, feeling like spiritually expanded, like, oh, I can see how this could evolve. I can see even if it's just with my third eye or energetically or feeling wise, I can see or feel how this is going to be good for me. And I feel like this is trying to give you kind of the okay, the go ahead from the universe to say no to some things and open up to others. Mercury is in your 6th house, also trining Mars. So this is, again, kind of being more decisive about our responsibilities. How can I actually make some of these things work in terms of my time invested, and where am I going to have to say no? So kind of just repeating myself at this point. But let me share the cards with you so you can kind of get another reason as to why I think this way. And then I'm going to talk a little bit about Venus, which is very important in the chart for you right now. And it's also your chart ruler. So you're going to be feeling a little bit of tension with that planet right there. So first of all, we have the 2 of Pentacles. So this next to the Page of Wands is having lots of things come in. The 2 of Pentacles is about juggling, having options. And the Page of Wands is like new ideas, new beginnings, new insights, new creative visions, which is so 5th house energy. It's like the brand new though. It's something that has not really been laid down yet. You haven't pursued it yet. It is a new moon. So this is a seed first being planted about what could the potential be. And then with the stimulation card, it's very interesting. I wanted to read this to you. It says, fresh ideas and situations are presented, and there are moments that you can see you and your ideas take center stage. You will need to take full responsibility and step up to the challenge in order to gain a positive outcome or success. So this is really saying the ball is in your court. You are having to decide for yourself, your level of commitment, your time, everything. You're going to have to do all those things, pursue all those things, and decide for yourself what it is that you actually want to pursue. And all of that is your responsibility. And so if it doesn't succeed, you can't just blame people around you for influencing you or, negatively impacting the decision. It's your decision at the end of the day and your responsibility. It says, Chile asks you to work on your passions in life and make sure they are truly your passions and that they are not simply what you think others want from you or want to hear. And then I also pulled a fulfillment card, which is all about the same thing, working on our passions in life. And that is what the 5th house is. It's a house of passion. And so I think you guys are being presented with a new passion, maybe multiple ones. And somehow pursuing that may go against something that you've already established for yourself or in a relationship or even financially. It may ask you to invest some money with that square to Mars in 2nd. It may ask you to invest some money into this passion that could disrupt some level of security in your life. It could cause like a little bit of, like, how are we going to pay for all this? And, if you're having to deal with other people in regards to finances, that could be a question. Or just within yourself at the very least. Do I want to invest my time, my energy, my money into this thing? And with Venus in your 4th house, you are very much focused right now on relationships in general. And especially like how you relate to other people emotionally. So a lot of things can kind of come up to the surface in your relationships that have presented themselves in childhood, that have been buried deeply in your emotional center. And with Venus opposite Saturn in the 10th, there can be situations that externally bring those emotions out of you in regards to your interactions with others. This can be especially potent within the workplace or within the family, because that's the 4th and 10th house axis. So you might deal with some kind of weird family or work situation that makes you feel some type of way, where you have to kind of process and ask yourself, do I want to feel this way? Do I want to react this way? Like, what is my desired outcome here? How am I going to balance? Also, this is kind of a little bit different, but how am I going to balance my home and my home life, taking care of myself, really nurturing, loving myself, with me pursuing these external things out in the world? So we're going to have, that there's 2 possible things that can come through with this. So, and then on top of that, it's making a square to Uranus in the 3rd house. So there's a desire for liberation, so that there needs to be some outlet or some way that you can find that will help you essentially balance these things. So how can I take care of my inner world and my external world? How can I honor myself and honor my past and my family or whatever situation's coming up? So those are the kinds of things that you might notice. And because Venus is your chart ruler, it is going to be like, it's going to hit home a lot stronger. This kind of question of like my inner world versus outer world. And that connection also to the inner world, to your past. There's a lot that I think is there, that a lot for you to maybe process that Saturn can again kind of bring up, but Uranus in the first house is trying to liberate you from whatever it is. So I hope that this all makes sense. I know it was kind of a lot of information, maybe a little bit disorganized. So if that resonates with you, please let me know by commenting down below or liking this video. That really helps get the word out there. If you want an astrology reading from me, you can always get one from willsboom.com, or I have my link in the description box down below, and I offer natal chart readings as well as a full year reading. So if you're interested in that, definitely check that out, and I hope you have a great day. Bye. All right, up next we have my Gemini risings. So this new moon in Virgo is happening in your 4th house, and it is making a square to Mars in your 1st. So, okay, what I'm seeing is like okay. What's interesting about this new moon is that there's going to be a new beginning, but it's coming kind of in conflict with maybe what other people say, want, think. There's like this outside influence that I'm getting from this new moon that's quite strong. And the thing about having a new moon in the 4th house is it's extremely in tune with your own nature. It is connected to your lineage, to the roots of who you are. There is a core that is based off of your values, your beliefs, your experiences in every way across your lifetime. And so I feel like you may be feeling some type of way about something emotionally, intuitively in your gut and your core, and you know the way forward for yourself, but there can be some doubt, especially with this square to Mars in the 1st. You're going to have to maybe take a little bit of a leap of faith and go against the grain about what others are saying or what others are doing. With Mars in the 1st, there is kind of this element of feeling like there's risk. And I pulled the courage card, which I feel like is very much in line with this. It's like the courage and the confidence to be yourself, and for yourself to be disliked by people or disagreed with by people because you're following your own truth. And the reason I say that is because I pulled 2 cards associated with truth, the King of Swords reversed and the Truth card. The King of Swords reversed to me is giving this inner truth energy, where it's not like you have to go out and convince others to believe the way that you do. It's not like you have to say or do anything particular to kind of defend yourself. It's really just knowing that you are sitting in alignment with yourself. You are following your own morals and beliefs. And this truth is maybe something that you have to like sit with for a second in order to discover. If there's outside influences, you might need to meditate. You might need some time alone. You might need to journal to clear the air of confusion that can be surrounding you. Especially with Mars making a sextile to Jupiter in the 11th, there is this like influence of community and group think that can come in here. And it can make you kind of question yourself, like, do I want to do this? Is this like the direction that I'm going in? But I think that you'll find, since this is a sextile, that when you make that choice to follow your own gut, to kind of go against the grain, to do what's best for you, you will notice that you will actually find a new community to surround yourself with that is much more in alignment. And so I think that it's honestly having the courage with this Tower card and this 3 of Cups card, both in reverse, having the courage to be different, to be disliked, to say no, to go against the group, to not fit in, to do the more challenging thing. This is what's going to ultimately benefit you. And the Tower in reverse is about a personal transformation as well as avoiding a negative outcome. And next to 3 of Cups in reverse, I feel like what that's suggesting is that you are inherently avoiding an outcome where you could have been placed in an uneasy situation with people, you know, like trying to fit in with people that you don't belong with, or trying to fit yourself into the situation that just doesn't feel good. And so there is a sense of independence that you need to get out of this. Like, I'm going to choose myself. And I do think with the sextile with Jupiter in the 11th, you'll find that there will be other people and other connections and communities to replace it quickly after. It's about trusting your gut with this High Priestess card, trusting what really feels right in this situation. Because I think that you're just not clicking with certain people, and you're going to have to really allow yourself to have the courage to see the truth in that. Like, okay, we're just not compatible anymore. This is just not working anymore because of X, Y, or Z. And so you kind of stepping out on your own is like the best thing that you can do in this situation. You also have Venus in the 3rd house opposite Saturn in the 9th. This could be having those difficult decisions and kind of having difficult conversations. And squaring with Uranus in the 12th, I feel like it's being willing to let go in order of the current dynamics or the things that aren't working with people in your community, being willing to let go of that and go at it alone in order to create balance. Because you right now are likely out of balance. Maybe there's, constant situations that are upsetting you. Maybe there are, events that keep occurring that, you go to and it never turns out like you'd like, or you inherently being a part of this group with those people doing those things is creating an imbalance within you. And so you're becoming spiritually realigned as you learn to let go and do things on your own. And again, I think you will find that new people replace the old, and you'll feel more like you belong. And so that is what I'm seeing for you guys. Maybe you have to even just kind of walk away from being overly social. Maybe it's specific people or circumstances or events in your life that you have to say no to. But something is not aligned, and it's time to look at the truth and own it in a really quiet way. Like, you don't even have to tell them. That's the feeling that I'm getting, is like, even though I did say you might have to have difficult conversations, I'm mostly getting the feeling that this is just you kind of walking away silently. Like removing yourself energetically, not trying to become part of something anymore, without having to make a big fuss about it. And I feel like that's really what I'm getting from this. And maybe you'll have to have difficult conversations if someone approaches you, if it comes up. But ultimately, I think it's more of a difficult decision in a conversation within your own head about how to approach something and about what you really think is true in a situation. So if you find yourself walking away, know that it's in your best long-term benefit, that you are not resonating with this group anymore, and it's in your best interest. So if that resonates, please let me know by liking and commenting down below. And if you want an astrology reading from me, you can always get one at willowsboom.com or using the link in my description box down below. I offer natal chart readings as well as your full year. So if you're interested in what's coming up for you this year, I get super nitty gritty and personal. So if you want to hear all of that, definitely check it out on my website. And I hope you have a great day. Bye. All right, up next we have my beautiful Cancer risings. This new moon in Virgo is happening in your 3rd house, squaring Mars in the 12th. So I'm definitely getting the sense that there is some cycle wrapping up here with Mars squaring in the 12th, and some ending occurring or a completion of a process with this World card here. So usually when I see something move through the 12th to the 1st, there is a death and then the rebirth. There is the end and then the beginning. And that's what this World card represents, this kind of cyclical nature as we move through the astrology chart through all the houses, but especially from the 12th to the 1st, is kind of when we are shifting. We are out of this old phase and into this new phase. And so I feel like you guys are going through some kind of phase. And for some of you, it may be in your way of perceiving things, thinking about things, because this is a moon in the 3rd house. For others of you, this may be in kind of like your activities, because the 3rd house is quite busy. Let me just pull a card and see if there's a specific thing that the universe wants to send. The Wheel of Fortune. Okay, so this is not really specific in terms of what is ending and then beginning, but I feel like whatever it is ultimately, with this Wheel of Fortune card, making way for something a lot more positive in your life, for things to be turning in your favor. Essentially, when I see this, is like you're going to become luckier, things are going to become better. But I do get the feeling with the rest of these cards here is that you are actually more so in a state of limbo, and it can cause a little bit of like uncertainty So whatever phase is ending, I'm not going to presume to what that is for you. Whatever phase is ending, I think with this new moon in the third house, it's going to require you to think about life differently, interact with life differently, talk to yourself and to others differently. It's like a change of your perspective is really needed, especially with this hanged man. So I feel like maybe this could have something to do with your plan or like your direction or the next phase. It's like, I don't think that you are really ready to just jump into that next phase yet with this completion happening. And then right after it, we have the 7 of Cups and 4 of Swords. This is a card of confusion and then of rest. And so and then the Hangman is also a card of rest or kind of stagnation and changing perspective. So what I'm getting from this is like you are coming out of some old wrapped up cycle and you are in the limbo right now. And in the limbo, you don't know exactly what lies ahead with the 7 of Cups. Like maybe you have a lot of options. Maybe you're kind of creatively dabbling in things. Maybe you're just like, resting with this 4 of Swords and like allowing yourself to replenish your energy a little bit. And then I think you might have an idea of what you want in the future, but I'm getting the sense with this Hangman card that maybe there's actually a different option or a different way of looking at the potentials for you or like what you want that can be a little bit more fruitful and more beneficial. And if you are in an uncomfortable like place right now in this limbo period, if you feel like things are kind of falling away and you don't really have a lot to grasp onto in a very like practical, tangible way, then my suggestion for you would be these 2 things. To first of all, practice gratitude for what you have in your life. It's also a card expressing that you are going to have a lot more coming in very shortly, very soon, to be grateful for. So kind of having the expectation that really good things are coming with this Wheel of Fortune card and this gratitude card. I think this is assurance from the universe. Like, don't worry so much about this weird limbo phase or being uncertain right now. You are coming up on a brand new beginning in your life, but it's not here yet. So just enjoy and be grateful for where you're at right now. The higher mind is about just choosing better thoughts. And that's what the new moon in the third house is all about. If you have been thinking negatively, or if you have been focusing on what you're losing with this square to Mars in the 12th, it's all about kind of cutting things away. If you're focusing on that cycle ending or that thing being lost, rather than like what you have to be grateful for right now, or the thoughts that you would benefit you right now that are positive, that are uplifting, then it's time to kind of shift your focus. And so I think that this is about really kind of having rest time, enjoying this space or this void, allowing yourself to focus on what you're grateful for, training and honing your mind to look for the positive, to really kind of seek the good that's out there for you. And I think that's like the biggest thing that you can get out of this new moon, and recognizing that the good, like the next good chapter is soon on its way to you. So you don't have to worry so much about that. You guys also have Venus and Leo in the 2nd house, opposite Saturn in the 8th house. So this might be something that is in particular affecting your financial situation. You might find like, okay, this job or this thing that I was doing to make money is kind of wrapping up or drying up a little bit. And it's squaring Uranus in the 11th house. So maybe you also, like, your network is a little bit unpredictable. Or maybe you want to do a bunch of things with friends and everything like that, but you feel like you can't necessarily afford it. That's just one example of this. Venus in the 2nd opposite Saturn in the 8th can also bring up like a drying up around relationships and a sense of security and vulnerability. And with square Uranus in the 11th, it's like, how can we find maybe new people or create a better dynamic in my relationships by having a different way of relating? So there's kind of different ways that you can look at this. But that's just offering up a context that I feel like is happening as a result of some cycle ending. So maybe a cycle ends and you're no longer really meant to hang out with that friend group and you're transitioning to a new one and you're kind of in this wave of uncertainty. Or maybe you have like a career opportunity that's kind of drying up, like if you're freelance and you're like, okay, now what's next? And you're kind of having to figure that out. So you're maybe having to change with that Uranus 11th, the community or your long-term goals. And with that Hangman, I feel like it's asking you to make those changes, like change the way that you look at something, change the way that you perceive something. Have gratitude for where you're at. I think it's really, again, about honing your mind to be your own best friend right now and not to cause more chaos, and to allow yourself to enjoy where you're at in the cycle, to be grateful for where you're at in the cycle, where things are calmer, maybe you have more time alone, maybe you can rest a little bit more, and like that's okay. And so I think that's a really beneficial thing to keep in mind. So that is what I'm seeing for you, Cancer Rising. If that resonates, please let me know by liking and commenting down below. If you want an astrology reading to get your full year in advance, you can check that out at my website, willowsboom.com, or using the link in the description box down below. I also do natal chart readings if you want to just see kind of what your birth chart looks like and understand it more with an astrologer. So I hope you have a great day and enjoy this one. Bye. All right, up next we have my beautiful Leo rising. So for you guys, this new moon in Virgo is happening in your second house of finances, making a square to Mars in the 11th house. So I definitely feel like you guys are having some potential for a new financial beginning for you guys in some way. It's very exciting because one of the kind of piles of cards I pulled for this ends in the 10 of Pentacles. And I also got a card associated with basically following your purpose in life. This higher consciousness card, inner calling card, associated with really following what you feel called to do, what you feel inspired by. And there's something here with the 10 of Pentacles that can lead you to a lot of financial stability in the future. This is financial stability that can last for your children, your children's children, that you can save money for, that you can basically have things set aside. And it's making a square to Mars in the 11th. So there is some kind of opportunity coming in for financial wellness, for prosperity, for pursuing something that lights you up and inspires you. But this square with Mars in the 11th is asking you to really stand by your own personal truth in this. And I say that because I pulled the King of Swords and the Queen of Wands in reverse. And with Mars in the 11th house, there may be some kind of like group consensus or other people in your life telling you what's what, telling you kind of what to do, where to go. You might be considering other people when you're thinking about this financial potential, this financial opportunity, and you might not go in that direction because of other people's influence. And this is telling me with this Queen of Wands in reverse, for you to own your self-worth, own your confidence, and do what is best for you. So essentially not allowing yourself to be moved and swayed by the opinions of others, and to see the truth for yourself with the King of Swords, and to communicate that clearly as well. Like, this is what my boundaries are. This is what I want. And laying down the line a little bit here, but in a way where you are kind of like reclaiming your confidence, because this Queen of Wands in reverse might shy away a little bit from opportunities because she's uncertain. She's uncertain if she has what it takes. She's uncertain if like everyone is on board, if they agree, if this will rock the boat, if this is in line with what she's already planned. And the King of Swords is coming in here like, no, let's make a plan. This is my truth. This is what I want. I have full clarity right now. I'm going to communicate this. I'm going to go after this. I'm going to be so honest and transparent, and I'm going to build up the confidence to pursue this thing that will eventually lead me to this 10 of Pentacles financial success. So very, very exciting time for Leo risings. Where things tend to break down a little bit is that I feel like you guys might start to experience a little bit of tension in regards to relationships. So maybe this decision will negatively affect some people around you. And when I say negatively affect, I'm putting in quotes because, I mean, I don't know how much control we have over how others feel, right? Like I hate to even say negatively affect, but that might be the way that they perceive a situation. They might feel like this isn't what's best for me. This is affecting me negatively, and it can cause strife in a relationship. And I really say that because I pulled the Lovers, the Strength card, and Longevity. So the Lovers card is usually about a romantic partnership. It doesn't have to be that, but some kind of partnership where you're really choosing this person, you're working with them, or you are in alignment with them. They are somebody that you have invited into your sphere of influence, that you've trusted, and that has like remained in your heart with you in some capacity. So there's some level of commitment to that person. So there is this card and it has a Strength card here. So this person is literally getting attacked by a lion, which is like Leo. So this person might kind of feel like attacked by this decision that you're making. They might feel like when you're laying down the law and you're holding your own, that this is hurting them. That's why I say I think this is a perceived as something negative towards them, or negatively impacting them. And with Venus in your first house, you're choosing you. It's opposite Saturn in the 7th, and that feels like at the expense of someone else. And it's going to create this discord or this disharmony in the relationship where you're going to have to kind of like hold your strength, hold your boundaries, hold your compassion for yourself, for the other person, be consistent, not give up. You're going to have to kind of like fight for this relationship after this decision, if that makes sense. So if you are like moving forward on a new financial direction and it impacts somebody in some type of way, this decision is something that is going to have repercussions, and you're going to have to let that person know that you're still there, you're still in their life. And this doesn't necessarily have to be related to these things. They can be separate things happening in your life. You could be having a relationship breakdown and a new beginning, but I'm kind of relating them because I tend to do that. But take it as you will and as it applies to you. So there's going to be a relationship breakdown with the strength and longevity card. There is a need to kind of stick it out. Sometimes when I see Venus opposite Saturn, I'm like, okay, this is a breakup. This is a need for you guys to like go your separate ways. Maybe you're better off without this person. That's not what I'm getting with these strength and longevity cards. This relationship in your life is meant to be here for the long haul, whether that is in the same capacity or not is up to you. But this person isn't just supposed to be cut out. And this tenseness that's coming as a result of your decisions in your career, which I do think is related because actually Venus and Saturn are squaring Uranus in the 10th house. So it's like these career decisions, these money-making decisions that you're kind of acting on and you're making changes in are going to affect your relationships. Anywho, I feel like you're not supposed to give up on this dynamic in general. Don't just throw the baby out with the bathwater, but make the decision that's best for you and then try to do like damage control is essentially what I see here. And so make this fit for your situation, but that's generally what I'm seeing here is like you guys are having this new financial opportunity, this new beginning, but it's going to negatively affect some people or perceive negatively affect them. They're not going to be happy about it. You're going to have to do damage control, and then it's ultimately going to work out because with this Lovers card, this is somebody that's meant to be in your life. There is an important connection here that's not meant to be thrown away just because that would be easier. So that is what I'm seeing for you, Leo Rising. If that resonates, please let me know by liking and commenting down below. If you want an astrology reading from me, you can check me out at willsboom.com. I have natal chart readings, which just goes over your birth chart and your past life and all that jazz. Or you can purchase a year-long reading from me, a yearly forecast, which I'll go over kind of what you can expect this entire rest of the year. So if you're interested, definitely check that out in the description box down below or on my website, willsboom.com. And I hope you have a great day. Bye. Up next, we have my fellow Virgo Risings. So I pulled so many cards for you guys. Like they just all flew out. And I think it's because this is a really big new moon for you guys because it's happening in your first house. Anytime we see a new moon in the first house, a substantial new beginning for yourself is occurring. And this new moon is making a square to Mars in your 10th house. And I see this so clearly in cards, a big kind of change up in energy within your career. And as I've been mentioning, we're really having to take a step forward towards what we really desire. And sometimes it's going to rub things the wrong way or people the wrong way. And I feel like for you, it's almost like rubbing your past self the wrong way. Like, okay, I've put so much energy here and I've dedicated myself here, so I'm going to keep doing that. And I feel like now with this new moon, you're maybe needing to make some changes or look at things differently with this 8 of Pentacles and Hangman. Like dedicating energy to maybe something else and thinking about your career in a different way. And not that you need a totally different career, but maybe there's like just a new way of doing things, a new like avenue, a new perspective that you have to like dedicate yourself to and put more energy into developing. And that might go against where you've been putting energy before. That might go against your habitual nature, the way that things have always been done. And so that is where some of the strife I see kind of coming in. And maybe also externally, maybe there are external influences like bosses or other people that are trying to get you to do things one way, and you need to kind of go and become independent and become your own authority and do it another way. So essentially what I'm seeing here is a lot of intense energy around career. I have the King of Pentacles, Three of Swords, Ten of Wands, Tower, Nine of Cups, Emperor. So I see this whole hero's journey. And I don't know if this is something that's been happening over lots of time, or if this is really being highlighted and coming out at this specific time, or if this has been like the pain is in the past and now the present you're having this brand new beginning. I kind of feel like it's a little bit of both. Like it's happened in the past and is being like emphasized now and then is going to come to a head. So essentially what I'm saying with the King of Pentacles, Three of Swords, Ten of Wands is you're in some kind of unsustainable situation at work. And that's why I think that there's Mars in your 10th house. There is this huge ball of energy trying to get you to make a decision that is in your best interest right now, because there is something in your workplace that is just antagonizing you. With this King of Pentacles, Three of Swords, it's like, it's honestly breaking your heart. And with the Ten of Wands, and I feel like maybe it's because, and this is the energy that I've really been getting with Venus in the 12th opposite Pluto in this opposite Saturn in the 6th. It's like you've been working so hard with Saturn in the 6th house, grinding, putting in all that energy. And with Venus opposite it, Venus in the 12th, it's like you haven't fully received the efforts of your, like the rewards of your efforts. Venus in the 12th house is like, in a transit makes it a little bit harder to reach towards love, a little bit harder to reach towards money until Venus is reborn in your first house, until Venus turns to Virgo. You don't start to see like the full benefit of those things in your life. So you might feel like this hard work, this effort, this 10 of Wands, this burden that you've been carrying on your back, truly hasn't been fully repaid. And with this Three of Swords, I almost feel like there's a heartbreak surrounding this. Like there's a disappointment, like something fell through. Maybe this is one specific thing or an ongoing issue. But again, I feel like it's kind of both. Like maybe it's been an ongoing issue and it's really highlighted at this new moon where you feel like, oh, I just can't like do this anymore. This thing fell through. I thought this was going to work out and I'm just so sad about it, yada, yada, yada. And so it just makes you feel like really let down and really like you're trying hard for nothing. And then you have this Tower card, which feels like a collapse, like something is out of your control, something is falling away. And that's usually what Saturn opposite Venus does in the 6th house, especially, is it's going to collapse some kind of responsibility that you've been dedicating yourself to. Or it's going to make it so that it like dries up and kind of like falls away or doesn't become self-sustaining anymore. And Mars is making a sextile to Jupiter in the 8th. Mars in 10th sextile Jupiter in the 8th. Again, this death happening within your career. But it's a Jupiter in the 8th house of death. So what does that mean? It means that we're going to have a rebirth occur. Something is dying so something can take its place. So there's something that did not work out, something that collapsed, something that fell, something that you expected, that you hoped, that you worked hard for, that was not working out, that was not sustainable, that was not going to work for you. And with this Tower card, it's just going to fall away. And I think it's also going to be for many of us an awakening, because this is a new moon in your first house. It's an awakening to your own power within this. Maybe you are choosing to walk away. So maybe for many of you, it's like kind of not working out, but you could keep investing into it. And many of you are going to choose, no, this is not an alignment. I need to do something different. There's a different approach. There's something I'm not seeing. I need to change my perspective and invest a little bit more energy into some other facet that I have not fully invested into. And so I feel like you guys are going to have some personal agency in this process while some stuff may be outside of your control at the same time. And with Venus opposite Saturn in the 6th, it's making a square to Uranus in the 9th. So even though you might not be getting everything that you're giving out with Saturn in the 6th, with the square to Uranus in the 9th, I feel like you are going to get some kind of like blessing, some divine download, some faith or optimism, something that's going to help relift your spirits and balance you. And that's what I see with the 9 of Cups and the Emperor. is there is a like full circle kind of moment here. And this might not come out at this particular new moon right away, but this is what is being born from the seed that is planted at this time. It's rough terrain that it's planted in, but the Nine of Cups and the Emperor is your wishes fulfilled within your career. You becoming more of a leader, you becoming more structured, more organized, more efficient, being in charge of yourself and others, and really having your ish together. And I feel like it's because of this wish fulfilled of you being so in control that you're going to achieve what you want in your career. And so I think that you're ultimately going to be really satisfied with the financial outcome that emerges from the ashes of this experience. And I feel like you really need to focus with this card here. It's telling you need to focus on like what is working and cut away what isn't working. This focus card, what else? I want to read specifically what it says. Okay. This card offers confidence, calmness, and a centered place to rest amid turmoil and change. So that's kind of what's happening. There's a bunch of turmoil and change happening in your career. And this card is offering you the rest and the energy of focus. It's time to focus, to think more deeply, and to slow down. Your personal truth needs some attention, so don't let it get lost in your present dealings. This also indicates your need to lead from a balanced place instead of emotional swings. Okay, so basically, I feel like this is you kind of centering yourself in the calm of a storm, in the calm with the storm all around you, and realizing with this moving towards the light card that your life is improving, to be positive, to focus on what's working, to focus on like the things that are going right. And it's from that, from your ability to focus in general, that you are actually going to achieve what you want. So I do think that you're going to get what you want, but initially this experience is going to feel very uncomfortable. There's something about it that's going to be disappointing, maybe even devastating, burdensome. But I see an awakening coming from this, and a wish fulfillment coming from this. So sometimes you have to have that darkness to create the light. And that's why I have the moving towards the light card, because I feel like it's saying you're coming out of this dark passageway and into the light. And many of you will be on different phases of that journey, but ultimately it's going to unfold over the course of this next new moon. So that's what I'm seeing for you, Virgo Rising. If that resonates, please let me know by liking and commenting down below. If you want an astrology reading from me, check me out at willisboom.com. I also have my website in the description box down below if you want a full year forecast or your natal chart read. So definitely check that out, and I hope you guys have a great day. Bye. All right, up next we have my beautiful Libra risings. For you guys, this new moon in Virgo is happening in your 12th house, squaring Mars in your 9th house. So what I'm getting from this is that you guys may be going through some kind of like loss or heartbreak in some way, and this could be of past things, or it could be something that you feel right at this new moon. But ultimately, this thing I feel like is spurring you towards a new beginning that is very exciting and going to be very like fulfilling and stimulating, and action oriented and busy. But there's something that you almost have to process or release or let go of in order to have access to this energy. So a new moon in the 12th house is a flower almost like blooming at night, blooming in the darkness. There is a newness in the death, or a newness through an ending. And I pulled a 3 of Swords, which indicates that kind of loss, that heartbreak, that disappointment in some area that you're letting something go, because the 12th house is a house of letting go. And as a clarifier, I pulled the Ace of Pentacles, 6 of Cups in reverse, and 3 of Cups. To me, this feels like something relational with it, especially with the 3 of Cups and 6 of Cups in reverse, that almost like there was something that you thought would really come to light with the Ace of Pentacles, maybe a new beginning that had this feeling of like belonging or friendship that you felt like was really going to take off, or working together with someone that would really go well, or something of this nature. But the 6 of Cups in reverse, I feel like it's almost like nostalgic, but it's almost reminds you of kind of like what went wrong in childhood or things from the past. Yeah, so that might resonate with some of you guys. I'm I'm trying to get clarity on what exactly is ending, but only you guys will truly know. So just kind of keep that in mind, that there may be something connected to the past. Maybe you have to forgive someone. Maybe something didn't work out, someone that you wanted to work with or hang out with, or maybe this isn't relational, but for many of you it probably is. But then I feel like this experience, while sad, is going to make way for a new experience for you that is going to be a lot more fulfilling, because this moon is squaring Mars in the 9th, which is asking you to almost change your belief system, to be hopeful with this hope card, to have faith. With this comfort card, I feel like this is the universe saying, don't worry. Don't worry. Just because this moon is uncomfortable and this thing is taken away doesn't mean that you're slowed down, doesn't mean that things aren't going to take its place. This comfort and this hope card to me is the universe saying, we got you. You just haven't seen everything unfold yet. And the fact that the 8 of Wands is the card after the 3 of Swords, to me, is saying that this other thing was almost going to slow you down. I feel like it was not going to maybe move as quickly as you would have liked. It wouldn't have progressed in the way that you needed to progress. And Mars is also making a sextile to Jupiter in the 7th. So if you are interested in working with other people, I feel like you are going to find new people, better people, the right people to be with, to interact with, to work with, to associate with, even if someone or some situation falls through that you were excited about. I feel like this is trying to say, like, hold on to hope, because things will work out. With this 9 of Wands and 2 of Cups, like, this 9 of Wands is a card of resilience, of not giving up. You're really tired, but you're not giving up. And then after is the 2 of Cups. So maybe there is some kind of relationship that's going to come in here with this Mars sextile to Jupiter in the 7th that is going to really see you for who you are, is going to meet you where you are, and is going to give you what you need. But right now, you might have to give up someone, or work, not work with someone, or not belong to some community like you wanted to before, in order to meet this next right person for you. And you also have Venus in the 11th opposite Saturn in the 5th. So this is really, again, where I'm seeing some of this relationship breakdown. Like, I want to belong. I want to be in this community. I want to have this goal with this friend, or whatever it is. And opposite Saturn in the 5th is like, you can't have that. That's not happening. And it's squaring Uranus in the 8th house, which is also representative of a rebirth cycle. So there's like a reset button that's hit on the situation, and for new energy to flush in, for new people to flush in, for circumstances to shift, because something about it wasn't quite right and wasn't going to get you to where you wanted to go. And the last card is the Eternal Light of Love. And this card says, the eternal light of love permeates everything in existence and fills every atom of our being. And that's what I feel like is represented with this 2 of Cups and Jupiter in your 7th house right now. This means light and love are always present in every situation, regardless of whether you can perceive it or not. There is love even a hidden blessing within a current situation. Trust. All that is occurring is for your highest good. Look beyond the surface and appearance of things. I think that is like the perfect way to wrap that up. So that is what I'm seeing for you, Libra Rising. Even if things are not as they currently look, they are going to be a lot better. So I hope that made sense. Things are not as they seem. And so if you are interested in a reading from me, check me out at willowswim.com or in my description box down below. If you enjoyed this or resonated at all with this, definitely give me a thumbs up or a comment down below to get my work out there. And I hope you guys have a great day. Bye. All right, up next we have Scorpio Rising. This new moon in Virgo is in your 11th house of friendships and community, squaring Mars in the 8th house. So, there's a lot, I feel like, to unpack here. First of all, having a new moon in the 11th house can be a new beginning in your sense of belonging, or even in your life direction. So maybe you have a new beginning with a friend. Maybe you have a new community that you're integrating with, a new goal that you're trying to pursue, or something that you're really excited about. However, it's squaring Mars in the 8th, which is, again, quite a combative energy. The 8th house is involved with our kind of insecurities, where we are vulnerable or scared to be vulnerable. And I think that makes a lot of sense with the 5 of Wands and the 4 of Pentacles. I feel like there's a new beginning in your area of friendships, but the square of Mars in the 8th is like, maybe we are not so trusting with this 5 of Wands. This is a competitive kind of energy. Maybe we feel like we have a lot that we're going against in order to make this goal happen, or maybe we feel like we're competitive with the people in this community, or maybe we just feel like we just don't fully integrate well, or we're having while we have a new beginning with these friends, we also have to maybe confront some discord that exists in this dynamic. And with this 4 of Pentacles, I'm really getting the sense of like protecting your heart and safeguarding yourself. However, we have the Success card underneath it. So the idea that I'm getting here is that while there may be a conflict and that you are kind of guarding yourself and maybe scared to be vulnerable in some way, I think that ultimately there is some success here with this card. Like there is an overcoming of this cycle. Mars is also making a sextile to Jupiter in the 6th. And I think that this ultimately helps us. I feel like the 6th house is where we tend to see the imbalances. And so with Jupiter here, I feel like it's going to maybe mend any imbalances that could come through the situation. So I think that's where the success will ultimately come from, is by having kind of like an evening out of the playing field in some way. So if there's a conflict, really having both people be seen and be heard. If there's a competition, there's somehow an evening out of the playing field, both people get an opportunity. And so it's like less, like I have to fight for my own, and more like there is something that is going to benefit everyone. I think that's the ultimate outcome, although you may have to pass through this point of tension first. You guys also have Venus in your 10th house, which is really beautiful for career, and maybe another reason why we have the Success card. Usually we tend to have more blossomings, more benefits kind of come to us with Venus in the 10th, maybe more relationships that can help benefit our career dynamics coming through other people that can be really beneficial. But it's opposite Saturn in the 4th. So I almost feel like there's something about the situation where maybe it doesn't feel right. Maybe some of the things that come through are like not like maybe there's something underneath the surface there that you're not totally okay with. I feel like you are trying to pursue your ultimate fulfillment with this King of Wands in your career. You're trying to follow your joys, your passions, the things that excite you, that light you up. But with the opposition with Saturn in the 4th house, there may be actually some insecurities that are holding you back, or a desire for like keeping yourself safe, especially with this 4 of Pentacles. I'm really getting the sense of like self-preservation, self-protection with your heart, within relationships, within your career, like a lot of that type of energy of like, I'm going to stay in my comfort zone. I'm going to do what's easy. And so there might be this like, push between these two, push and pull between these two of like, I'm getting these kind of opportunities out in the world, but this 4 of Cups, it's like, I'm not sure I'm going to take them. I'm not totally sure I'm going to act on them. And with this square with Uranus in the 7th house, I feel like it's through your relationships and like these changes that are happening with people around you, or maybe someone influencing you from the outside, something coming from someone else. I think that's going to help you actually understand how you want to pursue things, and to what degree you want to balance these two, between really focusing on your emotional needs and then also focusing on your career, focusing on your comfort zone versus taking risks on these new opportunities that can come to you. So I get the sense that you are ultimately going to understand a little bit more about how to follow your joy by the influence of others, by what others are doing or what others are saying. I think it's going to act as some type of mirror for you, and is kind of going against what I'm saying for the general reading for this, the overview, where I'm saying this is about doing what's best for you, da, 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 da. That might be true to some extent, but with this Venus squaring Uranus in the 7th, I almost feel like it's through your relationship changes and dynamics that are going to bring about greater emotional fulfillment in your career. There's something here that like others are presenting to you or offering to you, or something that you have the potential to act on and bring to life in your career. So this could also be a somewhat unrelated thing. So let's say like you have some changes happening in your relationships, and then because of those changes, you feel really inspired to go and like put yourself out there. But with this Four of Cups, I feel like you've been maybe staying in your comfort zone and rejecting things for too long. And so whatever these changes are happening in your relationships, it's ultimately going to help you move towards the things that are more exciting, that are lighting you up, to take chances, to be maybe a little bit more impulsive, to be a little bit more brave than you have in the past. So that is what I'm seeing for you, Scorpio Rising. I think that you are maybe having a little bit of your guard up and needing to maybe take a chance and take a little bit of a risk in the circumstance on your career. And yeah, definitely having to navigate some relationship things that come up as well. So I hope that resonates. If it does, please let me know by liking and commenting down below. And if you want a reading from me, you can check that out at willsboom.com or using the link in the description box down below. I have full yearly readings. So basically, if you want to know what's happening for you for the rest of the year, what's your themes, what you can expect, you can check that out. I also have natal chart readings. So if you want to understand your life purpose and kind of what your gifts are and your history, then you can definitely check that out as well. So thank you guys so much. I hope you have a good one. Bye. Up next, we have my Sagittarius Rising. So for you guys, this new moon in Virgo is happening in your 10th house. So a new potential career or kind of life goal objective can come in for you, or a fruition. I mean, not a fruition as much, but like a new seedling in this area of your life. And it is squaring Mars in the 7th house. So I am getting the sense that you guys are having to like walk away from someone, or this is somehow like a going against what someone else says, or something that's in the best interest of your relationship, or maybe like a coworker, or you're like abandoning ship and like leaving a current place and like feeling like you're kind of giving up on a relationship. There's some kind of conflict with this moon squaring Mars in 7th between you pursuing this career path, this goal, this life objective, this path in general that you're interested in, and kind of where your partner wants you to go, or where your friend is, you know, always used to seeing you, or just something that is in conflict with someone else and like your relationship with someone else. And I feel like you guys are having to understand basically how to choose yourself in this situation and do what's best for you, while also not completely kind of giving up on the relationship. Or maybe actually there is a giving up of this relationship, and then new ones kind of emerging in the environment to take its place. And the reason I say that is because I have the World card and the Eight of Cups. And we also are having Venus opposite Saturn right now, which is usually kind of bringing about like endings in relationship dynamics, or hard conversations, you know, hard checkpoints. And with the World card and the Eight of Cups, I feel like it's almost like some dynamic, whether this is career or relationship, has played its course out. It's kind of like, okay, this chapter is done. I have achieved everything I could in this scenario. I have completed level 1, and now I'm going on to the next thing, the Eight of Cups. I'm having to walk away from this chapter now. So it's like I've kind of squeezed all the lemon out of this lemon. I've squeezed all the juice out of this lemon, and now I have to leave. And then after that, you have the Temperance card, which is the card of healing and self-reflection, almost like licking one's wounds, spiritual development, filling up your own cup here, especially through spiritual means. So I feel like you guys are having to kind of trust the process right here. You're having to trust that by this new beginning happening in your career, you will be leaving something behind, and trusting that that's okay. Trusting that this chapter that's about to unfold is going to be better than the last one. And that's why I pulled this Trust card, which is, I think, just kind of trying to reiterate that things are working out in your favor, but you just can't see everything yet. Mars in the 7th is, again, sextiling Jupiter in the 5th. So there is something coming in to replace what is being lost. There is something that is going to give you joy and pleasure, and is going to align with you and your gifts, is going to be the right dynamic or career opportunity for you. And so I feel like there is there's not something that you have to worry about. I'm really getting the sense of like, there's so many cards here that are talking about healing, and a lot of like self-reflection and looking at the light in the situation, looking at like, you know, how things are working out in your favor. And I feel like this is the universe really trying to reassure you right now that this chapter that's coming to an end is absolutely in your best interest. Like what is happening right now is making room for this new career growth to happen. And so I think it's just, again, trying to reassure you. I did pull this light card, and it says, choose to seek out the light in your life. Focus on the light that burns bright within your heart, that will illuminate the darkness that you feel surrounds you. There's no need to fear the unknown. Embrace all parts of yourself and the full experience of life. By facing your shadows, you will move into a newfound sense of balance and peace. The thing that stuck out to me there was embracing the unknown, and in all parts of yourself, not fearing the unknown. Because with this 8 of Cups, the Temperance, and then I have the Star, the High Priestess, and 4 of Pentacles in reverse, I'm really getting the sense of fearing the unknown and like being in a little bit of this transition phase. And I got this for another group too. I can't remember which one, but there was like a limbo phase happening for someone. And that's kind of what I'm seeing here a little bit. Is like a wrapping up of something, a healing, leaving something behind, in order to have like new career opportunities. And maybe with that comes some sadness, or with that comes some fear. But I feel like ultimately with the Temperance and the Star card, you're going to have a lot more healing and hope and optimism that will replace that fear, especially because Venus is in the 9th house, although it is opposite Saturn in the 3rd house. So there is like this kind of battle between I want to believe, I want to have faith, I want to hope, and I have this realistic perspective, and I'm just kind of keeping myself grounded. And so it's like these things can kind of battle with each other a little bit. Venus and Saturn are both squaring Uranus in the 6th house. So I feel like you kind of creating changes to your daily routine, to your job or your responsibilities or whatever you are leaving behind that kind of evolves your day-to-day life. Making those changes is going to ultimately trigger these aspects of you where you're like, can I do this? Is this good for me? But it also will create the ultimate healing by liberating yourself from the questioning, the indecision, or kind of the process of it. It's like, okay, no, I've committed to this. I'm doing this. I'm walking away. I'm going to heal. I'm going to focus on myself. I'm going to be positive. I'm going to trust my intuition also. I'm going to trust that I know the right way to go. And with this light card, again, really focusing on all the good things that are going to come out of the situation for you. With the 4 of Pentacles in reverse, maybe you are kind of holding yourself close, like really protecting yourself. And I think that this is saying maybe this is okay, but also to be really mindful that you can trust and allow yourself to kind of flow into the next chapter. So maybe this is more so about, kind of protecting yourself from possible like transition, like the difficulties of transition. So like, for example, saving money so that you can kind of be in limbo and have a choice, or, like guarding yourself from the wrong relationships and choosing the right ones. Like there is a way to be guarded and protect yourself that's very positive. And then there's a way that is like neglecting that the universe has your back. So just make sure like which kind of guarded are you, and really allow yourself to believe that things are working out for you, because they are. So that is what I'm seeing for you, Sagittarius. I hope that resonates. If it does, please let me know how it's applied to your life. Please give me a thumbs up and comment down below how it is applied to your life. And if you're interested in astrology reading, you can always check me out at willisboom.com, or using the link in the description box down below. Thanks. Bye. All right, up next we have my beautiful Capricorn Rising. So this new moon is in your 9th house, which is usually a time in which we are defining new belief systems. Like, who do we want to be? What are we capable of? How do we view our life? How do we view relationships? All these different aspects of ourselves are coming into a new vantage point. And the ninth house also gives us an opportunity for new hope and healing and faith and optimism for what is to come. However, I am seeing some pretty intense cards for you come up. And I think that this may have to do with the fact that your ruler Saturn is in opposition with Venus in the 8th house. Saturn's in the 2nd and squaring Uranus in the 5th house. So on top of that, this new moon in the 9th house in Virgo is squaring Mars in the 6th house. So I feel like maybe there is something within the workplace situation that is not kind of going how you'd hoped. It doesn't necessarily have to be work, but something with this square with Mars in the 6th house means that there's like some, I feel like there's a disappointment here. There's something that you did not see that is coming back out. The 6th house can also be like house of enemies and competition. And so I don't know, I feel like there's like this enemy that was like lurking in the deep, or there's something that there's some competition that didn't go right, or something that happened in the workplace, or even a health thing that can go wrong. It's going to be different for all of you, but because I pulled the moon card, I'm getting the sense that for many of you, it was something that maybe kind of snuck up on you in some way. It was somewhat unexpected. And then after that, we have the Tower card. So like the moon in the Tower, it's something highly emotional, something that feels like a big deal, like a kind of crashing down. And then after that, we have the Five of Pentacles, which feels like a disappointment, a lack, not having the needs fulfilled that you were hoping to get fulfilled. So quite intense cards, you know, pulling one after another for you. And so I'm getting the feeling that this is maybe like trying to reestablish your belief system after a difficult thing that happens. Even though new moons are usually like good things, I think that there is a good thing from this. It's a lot of learning and growth and healing and perspective and like spiritual awareness, a lot that's coming out of this. But ultimately, I think at first it's going to feel highly uncomfortable and unsatisfying or dissatisfying. I pulled the duality card, and I feel like the universe is really trying to get you to look at the light and the dark in order to really learn and grow from it extensively. So it says, it's time to look at the shadow and the light in conjunction with each other. Each is as strong as the other, and both have positive qualities and learning points for you. So even this dark situation, as well as all the good ones, have a lot of really positive qualities that are going to help you and help you learn. The answer to any question is maybe, and perhaps moving away a little will allow a better view, as bananas ask you to stand back and look at the horizon. And that's actually what a new moon in the 9th house does, is it zooms out and gives you that larger perspective, that horizon shot. And so I feel like this is trying to get you to see like a little bit more of the picture, to get a greater idea of what's going on. And don't give in to any situation that doesn't align with you at present. So don't settle. Don't settle. With this Five of Pentacles, if you feel that something is not meeting your needs with this Tower and the Moon card, and something is collapsing and disappointing you, don't allow it. Don't settle for that in your life if it's not aligning with you in some way. I also pulled a transformation card. So again, I feel like you're getting a lot out of whatever is happening at this new moon. I think it's really setting you up for future success because it's a new moon. So it's planting a brand new seed. I feel like, yes, it's planted through a little bit of pain and discomfort, but it's like that is what is going to help it grow into something really magical. And so I feel like this transformation card is telling me that you are going to have like a brand new lease and perspective on life in a matter of weeks or months. And that perspective is what is needed in order for you to achieve or have something in your life. Okay. So as I mentioned, I feel like some of the challenge can come from having Venus opposing Saturn in the 8th and 2nd house and squaring Uranus in the 5th. So I feel like this can represent sometimes like a lack of finances or having trust being broken, or just feeling like less supported either through the universe or through friends. There's something that can happen here that feels like really, just like for everyone with Venus opposite Saturn, it's like a drying up. And for you, it's in the area of finances and trust. And so it can really come into those areas of your life. And it's making a square to Uranus in the 5th. So there's something that's trying to liberate you. It's like, is this lighting me up? Is this what I really want? Is this aligned with my unique gifts, my talents, my ways of viewing life, the way I enjoy life the most? And Uranus in the 5th wants you to have those things. So it's trying to give you the medicine for what could be going wrong externally in this situation. And maybe what's going wrong externally is a reflection of an internal misalignment. And that's why I feel like this Moon, Tower, and Five of Pentacles are coming out, because something is misaligned that you are currently on the path for, and it has to be shaken up a bit in order for you to recognize that it's misaligned and to do something better instead. And I asked the universe, okay, what are they getting out of this situation then? What's the benefit here? And you got the Temperance and the Star, which are both cards about healing. They're about filling up your spiritual cups, being blessed by the universe in the long run, having hope and faith and renewal of spirit. So ultimately, this challenging situation, whether it's in the past, because who knows if that was something that's already kind of gone on, or if it's happening right now, what you're getting out of this experience is this beautiful kind of internal metamorphosis where you become lighter and freer and more aligned with your path. So that is what I'm saying for Capricorn Rising. If that resonates, please let me know by giving me a like or comment down below. And I wish you the best of luck for this one. I know it looks a little bit intense and has a little bit of a heavy energy for you, this one. I'm sorry to see that. Virgo Rising also did, and that's my rising sign. So if you would like a reading from me or any help kind of through this process, shoot me a message, contact@willisboom.com, or you can check out my readings down below or on my website, willisboom.com. And I hope you have a great day. Bye. Next, we have my Aquarius risings. So for you, this new moon in Virgo is happening in your 8th house, and it's making a square to Mars in your 5th. So first of all, a new moon in the 8th house is the 8th house being the house of death, rebirth, endings, that type of thing. It makes a lot of sense given the first card that I pulled was the death card. So the thing about the 8th house is that it's not like the 12th where there's an kind of irrevocable ending where things just kind of close off. There is death that happens, but what happens is a transformation of energy. So we're not just kind of like ending a chapter and starting a brand new one. We're taking an existing chapter and completely rewriting and reworking it, putting the words in different places, realigning the paragraphs, maybe making some new ending, but ultimately it's the same content in some way. And so that's kind of what I'm seeing here, is that you guys are going through some kind of transformation. You're redoing something that's in your life, kind of re-looking at it within yourself, rebirthing in a way, like how you go about a certain situation, a certain relationship, a certain dynamic, and you're coming out like a little bit different, where you're not just completely cutting it off, but you are regenerating it in a brand new way. As I said, this moon is making a square to Mars in the 5th house. And so I feel like there is a strong desire nature here, almost like an impulse nature. Like, I really want this thing. I'm really inspired by this thing. I want to go after this thing. And this might, though, kind of be at odds with like what other people want, especially because you have Venus in the 7th house making an opposition to Saturn in the 1st. Maybe there's something for yourself that you want to build with the 7 of Cups that you feel really inspired by, that you are really stoked on, and maybe even like over idealizing in some capacity. But for some reason, that thing is kind of like maybe what someone else doesn't want, or kind of going against somebody else in your life. Or maybe it's, I think it's just somehow going to cause like a relationship tension. And maybe they're not totally related, but I think for many of you, having like these new exciting things or something that you want to pursue can kind of bring that up. Or maybe there's like multiple people, for example, that you're interested in. If you're not like totally taken, maybe there are kind of multiple love interests that you have to choose from, which is definitely a possibility here. Mars in the 5th house is also sextiling Jupiter in the 3rd. So maybe you're talking to multiple people, or it's through others in these conversations that you get these new exciting ideas, and your partner's like, I'm not sure about that. Or you know, you want to do these things, but like you're not sure how it would just affect your family or your relationship dynamic or XYZ. So the thing is, what I'm seeing here is I feel like there is some level of dedication to, if you are in a relationship or if you are like working with somebody, or there's something that you're already doing that involves somebody else, somebody important to you with Venus in the 7th, you're not meant to just like throw this relationship away, whether this is like a work partner, a friend, a partnership, like whatever. It's somebody that you have chosen in your life. They might somehow like not fit into this new inspiration or this thing that you want to do. Maybe you have like, again, like lots of different ideas or exciting things that you want to pursue, artistic creations, or maybe you're just like idealizing a certain situation and thinking it's going to be the answer. Or maybe because it's next to 2 of Cups, maybe it's like a specific person that you're idealizing. And this is trying to say that there's like a change up in that relationship. But the longevity card to me with the Death card is saying that there is the transformation of an existing relationship and not an ending to it. Like that relationship is not meant to just completely go away, which maybe you want to watch the Leo rising because there's a lot of similarities here between these. But yeah, there's something that I feel like you guys are wanting to do that you have to like kind of do it for your own best interest, even if it's not going to necessarily resonate with whoever this is impacting. The Harmony card to me is saying that you will ultimately find harmony, even if at first it doesn't seem like it. I think that whatever this thing is something that you need for you. And I think eventually everyone will get on board if this is something that other people are against. Again, Venus and Saturn are opposing Uranus in the 4th. So this could also somehow like cause a disrupt within the household, within the family, the living situation. Or it could be that within the home area is where you find the like key to the resolution. So I'll kind of let you interpret that, what that can mean for you. But I feel like you guys have some decisions to make with the 2 of Swords next to 2 of Cups. Maybe many of you are deciding what to do about a love situation, or maybe some of you guys are deciding what to do about a relationship in general, or you're deciding between multiple people, or maybe you're trying to pursue something that you're excited about and you're having this huge internal transformation, but somebody is not necessarily aligned with it. And so you have to have like kind of a decision about which path you're going to go down. Am I going to go down what they say or what I want to do? But ultimately, with the moon in the 8th house, it's asking you to become much more in touch with yourself, much more authentic to yourself, a little bit vulnerable as well, and kind of bring people into your world. Share with them why you want to do this thing. Or maybe if there are multiple people, like having other people in your life that you can kind of be like, well, this person has this and this person has that. Like, bring people into that internal world so that they can help you kind of decide how to move forward with whatever this is. So I know that's kind of a lot of options, but I hope that does make sense for you. Seems like whatever it is, it's something that is definitely involving something that really aligns with you as a person, whether that's in a relationship or a creative venture. And so I feel like pursuing it is in your best interest. So that is what I see for you, Aquarius Rising. If that resonates, please let me know by liking, commenting down below. And I hope that you have a beautiful day. If you want an astrology reading from me, check me out at willisboom.com or in the description box down below. Thanks. Bye. All right. And last but not least, we have Pisces Rising. So for you guys, this new moon in Virgo is happening in your 7th house of partnerships and relationships in general, and it's squaring Mars in the 4th. So I feel like you guys are definitely having this kind of new foundation, this new beginning being laid in your relationship area. And it might have to kind of go against, with the square with Mars in the 4th, some habitual nature. You might have to make some changes within the home. You might have some emotional upset, but some of these little things have to kind of iron themselves out in order for this new beginning to happen. And I see that you guys are kind of having this, like, I feel like a little bit of anxiety, worry, an intense experience, and that is all helping you rise. I have the 7 of Wands and the 8 of Swords. So you're like a phoenix rising from the ashes right now. And again, you may have some kind of anxiety about whatever this experience is. Maybe these changes within the home or these difficult emotions are, difficult, and your mind is kind of running with them a little bit. But with the Seven of Wands, I see you ultimately overcoming whatever this is. Sometimes I think that's a Seven of Swords. Sorry. So the Seven of Wands is about a card of perseverance and kind of pushing through these circumstances. And I also have the Ascension card. So I feel like maybe this is about your past. Maybe this happened kind of, recently, but with Venus opposite Saturn, Venus in the 6th opposite Saturn in the 12th, maybe you've had some kind of breakdown in relationships, some kind of loss, a realization, some like truth being spilled into a relationship. And with the square to Uranus in the 3rd, maybe it's like sudden information that comes out, kind of sudden conversations, breakthroughs about this area of your life. And it's somehow maybe causing emotional upset or changes within the home. But it's this that is going to, again, give you this new beginning in relationships. And Mars is in the 4th, sextiling Jupiter in the 2nd. So there's something that's ultimately going to benefit you. These changes or emotional upset, changes in the home or emotional upset is going to ultimately benefit you in terms of like financial success. You maybe make different decisions that's going to lead you to becoming really victorious. And I see that. I see like two different things here. Some kind of crazy stuff happening where you've had to rise from the ashes and you have this new beginning, new reset in relationships. And then this whole other thing about having amazing financial success. I have the Two of Wands, the Nine of Pentacles, the King of Pentacles, and this Victory card. All really amazing cards that have to do with financial success, as I mentioned. So I see you almost like planning for your future, making decisions right now about kind of what to do in terms of how to be financially independent, how to take care of your ish. I feel like all these things are going to start clicking into place for you, and you're going to be victorious. You're going to kind of get yourself set up for the future. And so this new beginning in the area of others could also signify that kind of these foundations, these things that you're going to be independent with, you're going to be financially well off with, all those things I think are ultimately going to help you if you are starting a new relationship later, become the person that you want to be and attract like a like-minded individual. So I feel like you are almost going on this like new financial venture, new career venture where you're getting more money, you're becoming stable, you're becoming confident. And then this is ultimately going to add to this new beginning in your relationship, which is going to help you, again, attract, I think, somebody better. Or if you are in a relationship, it's going to help kind of renew or reestablish the foundation of the relationship. Or it's going to help you just attract better people into your life in general. Or maybe you're going to work with some really amazing people. So this is going to somehow like revibe and vamp up your relationship sector in general. Because, I feel like you are really focusing on what you need to succeed right now. And that's ultimately going to benefit everyone around you. So that's what I'm seeing for you, Pisces Rising. That seems really, really positive. Especially with that Victory card. I see a lot of abundance coming for you that maybe you didn't expect. And I'm very, very excited for you. So I hope that does resonate. If it does, please like and comment down below. If you want an astrology reading, check me out at willisboom.com or using the link in the description box down below. And I hope you have a great day. Bye.